Hello everyone, my name is Amy, this is The Opinionated Woman, and welcome to Crafty Reads, the series where I craft and I talk about things I've read. Today I have coffee. I don't know how some people film with coffee, but I thought I'd try. My little owl mug, as you know, I like owls. Alright, I'm still working on the same piece as before because, yeah, lots of chatting, and also lots of layering. So what I want to do is take this blue, bring it down into this corner here. I don't know why, that's just what I'm feeling. And then I might start sticking these on because then I can start brainstorming about what else is going to happen with this piece once the silver bits are on. So while I'm doing that, we're going to be chatting about 5 books that I read in hard copy. Like, not one of these, this is not by choice. The last 5 books that I read were all physical books, because I was reading a much longer audiobook that I just finished yesterday. I finished this morning actually. So another Crafty Reads coming soon. So I ended up reading, like a buttload of physical books. And they're all except one from my library haul that I posted. I will link it. But yeah, I went to the library for the first time in years and I ended up getting this big stack of books and I read them all. So without further ado, let's dig into it. So the first book I read was the one that wasn't actually part of the library haul, and that is Jamaica Inn by Daphne du Maurier. Isn't this so cute? It's so dinky and tiny. Pretty. So I read Jamaica Inn. I got it at a secondhand bookstore. No, a charity store, and I was like, oh my god, what a score, because so many people have spoken about Daphne du Maurier's Jamaica Inn, and it's this and My Cousin Rachel that I've been really wanting to get, and this one did not disappoint. Oh my god, if you love a historical fiction with atmospheric, creepy as shit, like Misty moors, oh my god, the creepy Misty moors, the atmosphere, oh man, it was just so good. There must be a movie of this. There must be by this point. This was written in like the 30s. But we're following our main character, whose name I can't remember right now. Mary. Following our main character, Mary, whose mother has died. She's like always lived on the farm. Her mother's passed away, and her mother told her, when I die, sell up the farm, go live with your aunt and uncle in Jamaica Inn. So she's on her way. We start the story with her in the carriage on the way to Jamaica Inn, and she asks the coachman to leave her there, and he's like, this is not a good place for women, like you shouldn't be there, it's like really rough. And then she's like, actually my uncle is the landlord there, and he's like, oh, awkward. But yeah, so we off the bat have this like sense of foreboding, and stuff happens after that that's dark and creepy, and her uncle who runs Jamaica Inn is a horrible man. He's an absolutely horrible man. He's dangerous. He does really shitty things, and he's so unpredictable. And it just keeps you going. It keeps you going from beginning to end. It's absolutely thrilling. And there was a twist at the end, which I was super excited by. This is so good. Like, I cannot gush enough about how good this little book was. Read this book, please. Okay, thanks. Okay, see, I've got a little bit like tumbling into the corner, and I'm going to start sticking. And if you see my tongue sticking out while I'm sticking the these things on, fuck off. No, you don't. Right. Then I read Boy Queen by George Lester. George Lester also makes YouTube videos. He does drag. He is a theatre student. He used to work in publishing. He is an all-round lovely lad. And I have spoken to him in the past, and when I saw this was at the library, I was like, hell yeah. So Boy Queen follows a teenager who's just about to leave school. His name's Robin. He's applied to a bunch of different schools, and he's got rejected from them. So he's very much like in a quandary right now. He's super into theatre. He does dance classes. He's in all the productions and everything like that, and he really doesn't know what he's going to do now that he's been rejected from these schools. until he goes to a gay bar, because Robin is a queer boy. He's got this great group of friends that we get to know, especially his best friend. Oh, what's her name? I'm gonna forget her name now. But his best friend, what a great character. I really love her. She's like got conviction and chutzpah, you know. So basically, on his birthday, he goes to a drag club. And he sees this drag show, and even though he's like a RuPaul fan and everything like that, he never really considered drag as something that he wanted to do until he saw it in real life, and then he's like, holy shit, I want to be them. And this takes us on his journey to discover drag, and he has this wonderful drag mother and this like group of drag queens that work at this club, and it's heartwarming, and it has some important things to say. And it's got a lot of growth from Robin himself, like a lot of like growth as a character, and it's so well written. I absolutely love this book. I think I finished it in like a day or two. It was absolutely like easy as pie, and it was just a joy. I highly recommend Boy Queen. Then I was very excited at the library to find Case Histories by Kate Atkinson. This is her series, her mystery detective series with Jackson Brodie. And I've never got to read one of these before. And because she's got such a huge backlist, the library has a bunch of her books. So that was very, very convenient. Now, I always read these blurbs and I take offense to them. Her best book yet, A Tragic Comedy for Our Times. I didn't think this was... it was kind of funny. Okay, let me actually tell you what this fucking book is about. We're following Jackson Brodie. He is a private investigator. He used to be a policeman. He's a private investigator. He's divorced. He's got a child, so we see part of that life. And then he's obviously got a few cases that he is working on. So we see at the beginning a couple of flashes from this family where there's this 3-year-old girl who goes missing in the middle of the night. They're sleeping in a tent in the garden, and the 3-year-old goes missing, and no one ever found her. So the 2 sisters that are left from this this family hire Jackson to try to find out what happened to Olivia, which is the 3-year-old. So we start there, but we're also getting some other like tidbits into other people's lives to do with certain mysteries and things like that. And I was getting really confused because in the beginning I thought they were all going to link, and they actually, I mean, one of them did, but they didn't actually all link. So I feel like if this book had focused on the main, like investigating the main issue here, you know, like what happened to Olivia all those years ago, and he'd done some actual investigating, I would have been a lot more open to this. But he didn't do a lot of investigating. A lot of the stuff he discovered kind of just fell into his lap. I just didn't find it that, like, I enjoyed it. Like, her writing is good. I wanted to know what had happened, but it wasn't my favorite execution, and it definitely wasn't my favorite Kate Atkinson that I've ever read, because she's amazing. So I definitely want to try the next book in this series, because then I can see if maybe there's just something that I would prefer, like, once she sort of got going in the series, I guess. But yeah, that one was just an okay one. Then, okay, so these last 2 I finished last week. They're very short, and they're also very compelling. So the first one was Asking for It by Louise O'Neill. This book follows a girl who is very popular, and she's kind of I run out of these. Hang on, let me get scissors. When we start this story, we get introduced to Emma, and Emma is very popular. She's kind of judgy. She's a little bit of a bitch. She's not very loyal to her friends or anything like that. She's basically a very flawed character. And when we meet her, you know, she's quite promiscuous. And that's not something I judge in the slightest, but this is like within the context of the book. She is quite promiscuous. She does like drugs, they drink, etc., etc. So she goes to this party, and when she's at this party, she ends up doing drugs and gets like completely blacks out. She gets found on her parents' porch with sunstroke because like she was just on the porch, like dumped there, with like blisters and stuff all over her face. And then this Facebook group appears and it's got pictures, and it's all about finding out exactly what happened. And basically it's about how she processes these things, because it's not really about getting justice. It's about victim blaming. It is called asking for it for a reason. It's about victim blaming, how we treat girls that get violated in this way like it's their fault. How we will take a girl like Emma, who is beautiful and popular and dresses a little slutty and stuff like that. And I also don't find slutty to be an insult at all. And they'll take that as like a reason for that happening to her. So they'll be like, well, she was asking for it. She was doing those drugs. She was there with those boys that were too old for her, blah, 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 blah. All of the rubbish that our word culture cultivates. And it really goes into that, as well as like the trauma and self-blame that Emma has because of what happened to her. And it's really heartbreaking. If you saw in one of my vlogs, it actually made me cry because of the amounts of people that I know who have been SA'd or R-worded, and nothing ever comes of it, you know, and they're just left trying to pick up the pieces of their own psyches, you know, and it's incredibly, incredibly moving. And I think Louise O'Neill finished this book in a way that I think would infuriate some people, but is so realistic and way more genuine than I think some other books that cover this topic would have done it. So I was quite impressed with that one, and I definitely want to pick up her other books. I know she has one that's about an abusive relationship that I'd be quite interested to pick up. I'm just going to show you. Look at this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having fun doing it. But I think I'm done for now because I need to think about what my next step is. So I'm just going to talk to you quickly about Lighthouse Keeping by Jeanette Winterson. Jeanette Winterson is an author that I have been wanting to read for so long. And apparently her writing, like she writes magical realism, sometimes she's like very lyrical. And this book was just that. It's written little vignettes. It's about a girl called Silver who goes to live in a lighthouse with this man named Pew, who's the lighthouse keeper, when she's young. And it's all about the stories that he tells her, and the tales of the sea, and the years and years of Pews that looked after this lighthouse. And the different stories that each lighthouse keeper has accumulated over time, and how he's imparting these stories onto her. And then we get this moment that happens where they find out that the lighthouse is getting automated. And then a whole bunch of events happen, like you didn't, I suppose not a whole bunch of events, because not a lot of stuff happens in this. This book is about storytelling, basically. And she talks in this book about how the things don't have to be linear. It just, what really matters is the stories. So she tells us these different stories, not necessarily in a linear fashion. And it's written so stunningly, and there's some parts of it that are very abstract, and there's other parts of it that are very practical and to the point. And I just think it's crafted in such a beautiful manner from such a simple premise. And I really want to pick up Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit, which is her memoir, because I love her writing. And with that, we're done. We are done, lads. I hope you enjoyed that Crafty Reads. I enjoyed it too. I got further in this than I expected, and now, my dog is groaning. Now I need to think about what else this needs to be saying. But I'll figure that out in the next Crafty Reads. If you did enjoy, please give me a like and maybe a subscribe and tickle my bell for notifications. I'll check you next time.